My name is Kevin Till. I'm known as the Koi Medic, and I'm ex-chairman of the South African Koi Keepers Society. And whilst I was chairman, I realized that there was a need for a person such as myself to go out and analyze water and assist the hobbyist, and I've been doing that ever since. The important thing, what a Koi Medic really does, is it's a never-ending study. It's a collaboration of experienced minds and organizations such as Onderstepoort, Florida Vet Clinic, Dr. Paul Alshove, Dr. Dorian Elliott, and so forth, in terms of finding ways how to improve water technology and assist the health of the koi. We're now at the moment at Aggie Constantinou's koi pond, and he's 3 times champion, and I often get called out to analyze the water, and we look for precision. Water is very, very important in this business, and because virtually 90% of the fish is water, so it affects them adversely if something goes wrong. Microscope analysis, and then topical treatments, sorting out various, making sure that they're not infections, bacterial, secondary bacterial infections, fungal infections, and then through microscope analysis, mostly parasites. So it's typically the same as what you would do when a doctor draws blood from you and analyzes, your cholesterol going forward. It's the same kind of thing that we're doing here, and we're playing a proactive role to keep everything in good order. When we conduct water analysis, I've got the most advanced technology available to my disposal to analyze to the 1,000th milligram per liter. So we are able to tell what is going on from a filtration perspective, and we're able to forecast what the dangers are of the filtration. So very much on a day-to-day basis, when I go to a pond, filtration is one of the most important things that I do look at whilst I'm scanning initially. It's almost like a detective. You really problem solving. So you start at one point from water analysis, have a look at the health of the fish, go to filtration, and that's where you find that you get a good storyline in order to assist that particular pond. Remember, every pond is different. It has its own personality, stocking densities. Even this pond, if it had 10 or 20 more fish, would change the water quality and also the filtration. So it's very important to keep the balance. Remember, this is live water. This is not pool water where the water's dead. It's live water where living organisms are and must be. And that is the success of keeping a good fish pond. When it comes to netting, it is a skill, and one needs to understand it. More importantly, you need to understand the physiology of the fish. You need to understand the behavior, more importantly, of the fish. Example, if I can demonstrate, when the pectoral fins are out and the fish is starting to, once you've netted the fish, the pectoral fins are out, it's actually getting ready to jump, or fright or flight, if I may say. So what's very important is when you're netting the fish, slowly, very calmly, keep the fish as relaxed as possible. Don't intimidate the fish. Otherwise, you're going to find a casualty, such as a fish jumping, and they're powerful enough to jump right out of the pond and injure themselves pretty badly. So what you want to do is you want to assess the fish. Some fish, granted, are wilder than other fish, and you've got to treat them that way. You've got to net them in accordance to what you are seeing at that very moment. The colder the water, the more relaxed the fish are. The warmer the water, the more active they are. But they know when they are not being threatened. And it's very important. But bottom line is, go slow when you're netting. I think the most important thing that I'd like to tell the public is that your water quality when you're topping up water, don't throw the hose pipe from the municipal water in, because you tend to forget. The important thing is mist spray. With the presence of oxygen in that mist spray, chlorine dissipates into the air, evaporates. Very important. And then don't overstock. Critical. When you're purchasing new fish, you must quarantine. To put your fish, even the smallest fish, you can have fatalities with your large fish that you've spent so much on. So quarantine is very important when you purchase new fish. When you're feeding, a fish hasn't got a stomach, it's got a long intestine. The fish food, don't overfeed. The fish food mustn't drift for longer than 10-15 minutes at a time. So rather feed little and often rather than large meal times, because that affects your water.
I got involved in koi approximately 2007 from a competitive perspective. We did our first show at Cresta and then moved on to the Dome. I kept koi on a more casual basis and had a garden feature pond, and this is how I basically got involved. I found it to be a totally infectious hobby, and needed to improve as my knowledge of the varieties and the different fish got better. So I had a desperate need to improve and try and achieve as much as I could in a shorter space of time as possible. In 2008, I undertook a trip to Japan, which was a real eye-opener, and met some of my favorite breeders there, namely Sakai in Hiroshima, and bought a few fish from him, and that's where my hobby progressed from. The garden feature pond soon took a back seat, and we then created what I regarded at the time to be a very state-of-the-art and functional koi pond, with its filtration system and everything else in place. In 2009, we undertook our first show where we got serious about koi keeping. In 2011, I was fortunate enough to win Supreme Grand Champion with a Sankey, which was bought by Gonjiro, and grew it on very nicely. Its first show, it won at approximately 80 centimeters. We then progressed on in 2012. I rested the Sankey and didn't show her, but then took a Kohaku, which was purchased from Sakai, and also an Ochiba, which was bought locally from a Dani koi farm. The Ochiba won Reserve Grand Champion, and the Kohaku from Sakai was Supreme Grand Champion. In 2013, I once again showed the Sankey, which had progressed even further and had maintained her quality, and she won Supreme Grand Champion. The breeder is Gonjiro again, the same as in 2011, same fish. We then moved on 2013. The fish repeated this feat, and I was very pleased with the way she'd kept her quality. So looking forward, we are hoping that she could repeat that again, but everybody was very skeptical. In 2014, she once again repeated this feat and also achieved the hat-trick in 2015, which we were all over the moon with. There's a lot of people that have helped me on the journey, a lot of refinements which have been brought into my filters and my filter systems. I subscribe to Mike Snaden of Yumi Koi in the UK, his philosophy of soft water. So I blend the water, which I give my pond. I do reverse osmosis and I blend it in with untreated water in order to create a balance which I'm happy with. This seems to have allowed the Beni in the Kohakus and the Sankeys to flourish, and the Sumi eventually would come up if the quality was good enough. In 2016, we're hopeful that, well, in the first instance, the Sankey from Gonjiro will be retired as undefeated in all the shows that she's participated in. That has always been my wish and desire, and she's also getting on. So this year our dreams and aspirations are with the Ochiba, which has gone from strength to strength and is approximately 98 cms at the moment. Hopefully she will achieve Jumbo Grand Champion this year, and probably Best Kawarimono Supreme. That is mostly where our dreams for the bigger prizes are. We have a couple of Sakai, Kohakus, Sankis and Showas, which we're hoping are going to compete for the lesser prizes of Supremes. My greatest disappointment is the loss of a prospective GC for this year, and that was a Sakai Sankey, which won runners-up reserve grand champion last year in 2015. Unfortunately, I lost her through heavy bacterial infection and couldn't save her, but we move on. This hobby is not for people to give up. I think one needs to be very careful about investing in big money fish, fish that are already of size. One has to strive to understock their pond, keep the water quality as good as possible, and achieve the growth themselves from either a Tosa or a Nisai. Preferably a Nisai, because one knows more or less the path that this fish is going to follow and the quality is already ascertained.